Uber and Lyft have become a source of exploitation and manipulation for drivers who are left to bear the brunt of the costs while receiving little in return. It starts with the hook. Ride-hailing companies like Uber and Lyft have successfully sold their platforms as a great opportunity for anyone to earn extra income. They market the gig economy as a flexible way to make money, presenting the idea that all you need is a car and some free time. The companies use a variety of tactics to make it seem like the opportunity is both attainable and desirable. They have even gone so far as to present drivers as entrepreneurs, making it seem like they have the freedom to work for themselves. The companies have created a narrative that driving for Uber or Lyft is a way to become your own boss and make money on your own terms. This presents the opportunity as a path to financial independence, making it all the more enticing. By presenting the gig economy in this way, Uber and Lyft have created the illusion that anyone can earn extra income driving for them. This illusion has been instrumental in attracting drivers to the platform, but the harsh reality for many drivers is far from the promise. They'll start with strong hooks designed to rope drivers in, and once drivers are hooked, they are systematically used by an app that functions much like a puppet master, pulling the strings of the puppets. Uber has what it refers to as surge pricing. When demand for rides goes up, so too does the price for a ride. However, as this Redditor reports, the lure of surge pricing is one of the many tricks ride-sharing companies use to puppeteer drivers. Drivers are alerted to a surge in pricing, become attracted to the opportunity, and when they arrive at the surge zone, the pricing has dropped drastically. This in turn forces drivers who have been tricked to try and make it up somehow, and in the process, they put wear and tear on their vehicles. Cars are depreciating assets that cost money to maintain. These expenses pile up as drivers' mileage significantly increases over the norm, which leads to depressed wages. Drivers are expected to cover their own expenses, which reach hundreds of dollars per month. This on top of dealing with the company's questionable business practices. Drivers must cover the cost of gas and maintenance, which can reach hundreds of dollars per month without reimbursement from the companies. Auto loans and insurance are a major expense for drivers, costing up to $500 per month and not covered by the companies. Companies manipulate algorithms to reduce the number of fares received, leading to long periods of downtime for drivers. Companies frequently change policies and payment structures, making it difficult for drivers to budget and plan expenses. There's a lack of transparency in fare and pay calculation, with complex algorithms used by the companies and little information provided to drivers. $15 per hour is the hourly wage ride-share drivers earn according to the companies. However, based on available data, if a driver earns $15 per hour ride-sharing, after accounting for average costs such as gas, maintenance, auto loans, and insurance, the net hourly earnings could be around $8 to $10 per hour. For this reason, there have been calls for the ride-sharing companies to reclassify their ride-share drivers as employees. Here's why. Economic dependence. Uber and Lyft drivers are economically dependent on the companies and perform core services that are integral to the company's business. Drivers have limited autonomy over their work and have no bargaining power over their pay and working conditions. Control. Uber and Lyft exercise significant control over the work of their drivers, dictating requirements such as minimum ratings, vehicle types, schedules, and this makes for a relationship that's more similar to an employer-employee relationship. Benefits. As independent contractors, Uber and Lyft drivers do not receive benefits such as minimum wage, overtime, health insurance, and unemployment insurance, which are typically provided to employees. Labor laws. The classification of drivers as independent contractors violates numerous state and federal labor laws, including the Fair Labor Standards Act, which outlines the minimum wage, overtime, and child labor protections for employees. Based on these legal facts, it can be argued that Uber and Lyft should classify their drivers as employees to ensure that they receive fair treatment, legal protections, and benefits that are owed to employees under the law. In response to the accusations of backdoor outright wage theft and calls for Uber and Lyft to reclassify drivers as employees, the ride-sharing companies have decided to steal in plain sight by introducing the Upfront pay system. The upfront pay system is an attempt for ride-sharing companies to feign transparency, but many feel it's a scam.
And what I'm talking about is this. You see this call? It says that my customer paid me $5.82. That's how much my last trip cost. So I want you to see that one more time. $5.82. So let me show you how much the customer really paid. This is a copy of my customer receipt from her iPhone. $9.38. This is how much Uber gave me from this $9.38 ride. So you could clearly see that Uber took almost 50% off of the ride. But when I go back to the receipt, Uber is saying that they charge $5.82. That is the upfront scheme that Uber and Lyft is practicing. And that's why I think that they should be sued for this, because they defrauding the customers and they ripping off us drivers.
The system displays an estimated fare amount to drivers, but the actual fare charged to the customer is often double the amount paid to the driver. This lack of transparency in fare and pay calculation, combined with the use of complex algorithms, leaves drivers feeling cheated and undervalued. The dark practices of ride-hail companies have devastating impacts on low-income communities, as they decrease access to transportation for those who cannot afford the services and increase poverty for those who rely on them for income. The exploitation and manipulation faced by drivers ultimately reduce opportunities for employment in related industries, exacerbating the poverty and struggle faced by these communities. Low-income communities are among the hardest hit by the practices of ride-sharing companies like Uber and Lyft. The rise of these companies has caused decreased access to affordable transportation for those who can't afford the skyrocketing prices. Moreover, drivers who rely on ride-hailing services for income are finding it increasingly difficult to make ends meet as their wages shrink due to intense competition, increased expenses, and manipulative company policies. The consequences are far-reaching and dire. This increased poverty and decreased access to transportation can lead to a host of other problems, such as reduced opportunities for employment and lack of access to essential services like healthcare and education. It's not just drivers who are affected. Entire communities are impacted by the greed of these corporations. The exploitation of drivers by these companies has a negative ripple effect on low-income communities, making poor people poorer.
This service has changed so much over the years. It used to be a lot better. We're all very aware of that, right? But with gas being $5, $6 a gallon, I really don't understand how you're making this work unless you're making like $35 an hour. That to me, when I calculate everything, is the number that I feel like I have to hit for me to justify actually driving.